Hello, footy fans, and welcome to another episode of How Good is Rugby League. We are down to 6 teams, week 2 of the finals ahead of us, both games at Allianz Stadium. And joining me to dissect the weekend that was and preview the weekend that will be, Michael Corbin.
Emanuel,
Michael.
defeated man here.
You sound broken.
Yeah, a little bit. Jeez, something in
Yeah,
my
you're
throat.
right.
I'm choking as much as the Bulldogs did.
Wow. It's just the emotion that it could be Jared's last
Yeah,
game this weekend.
I know.
Irrespective of whether the Roosters win, is likely to be suspended. And that could be... No, I'm kidding. Mike.
Yeah.
Bulldogs out, Newcastle out. A cracking... I thought Sunday's game was the best of the finals. Over 50,000 fans. Most of them blue and white. Turned up to see what was an awesome contest between a team that hasn't been there for a while and a club that has the roster to make a bit of a dent in this finals campaign. Certainly has the halfback to do it.
Yeah, Manly, it'd be interesting to see what they would be like with Tom fully healthy. He's definitely nowhere near that.
Yeah.
He was grimacing on every run and every tackle and wasn't putting his body into contact like he normally does. But with Cherry Evans at the helm, this team just has more experience than almost anyone else.
Yep. And I think that was the difference. The Bulldogs, who we're going to focus on, and Newcastle in this early bit, the Bulldogs did really well this year. They had an awesome year. They are starting to reap the fruits of their success. They've had accomplishments. They've made grand finals, minor premierships, runners-up in the lower grades as well. In the 3 years since Gus joined, there's a clear turnaround. Cam Serraldo, as the coach, has really started to pull this team together. Stephen Crichton, Burton, Kickow, all with that grand final experience, really starting to just sort of stamp their footprint on this team. But I do think that a lack of big game experience probably was on display in aspects of Sunday's game, and they will learn from it. And I'm not contradicting by saying that there's no big game experience, but just the outside of those guys, it's a very young team. I think they were one of the least experienced first grade teams across the year. They did so well to make it to where they did, but little things and little plays and just things that you will learn from and start to think about in games. I think Manly's Caller's try, which was awesome, was sort of a case in point of that, of like not every fifth tackle option is a kick. And sometimes you just got to be prepared for players to run the ball and prepare for the unexpected.
Yeah, you mentioned the inexperience. And yes, Crichton and Burton have played in grand finals. Burton was the centre at that point.
That's right.
Wasn't leading the team around. He is the dominant half on this team. Players like Connor Tracy have been in and out of first grade in your spine. Reid Marnie obviously has played in the grand final, gave away a penalty late. Probably didn't deserve it. I think if his name wasn't Reid Marnie, he wouldn't have got it. But there was 4 errors that they made late in the game. 4 unforced errors.
Yeah.
And that's what cost them. And it was late. And then there was the play where Matt Burton took the hit up on 4th tackle to put them in range. Right. Someone else took another hit up on 5th tackle. Matt Burton wasn't ready to take that 40-metre drop kick.
Yeah.
Like, it was little things like that, and he was rushed. They'll learn from it.
That's pressure, right? That's
of course it is.
Pressure and just lacking a bit of composure in those big moments.
And that comes.
And that's where, and that comes. And you're up against a 50-year-old veteran on the other side who's just got so much big game experience. But once again this year, in a game with Stephen Crichton, seemed to lack a bit of composure at times. He looked a bit aggro at one point, but he's got these tricks, and it was really good from them. But I think it's been a really good year for the Bulldogs. I expect they'll play finals again next year if they play like they did this year.
Yeah, the other thing for the Dogs is they've got a genuine, incredible nursery coming through.
Yeah.
A lot of them are very, very close to being first graders, and will probably be debuting next year or the year after.
Yep.
We've spoken about them at length. Players like Mitch Woods coming through. That's That's what this team's got to look forward to. Yes, and I said it, like, this team, they'll learn from a loss like this because they knew what they did wrong. They had that game. They were the dominant team for the whole game. They were out physically Manly. It's what you wanted to see out of a grand final time. It's just those, you can very quickly lose a game in 5 minutes, and Manly just hung around enough to keep them when it gets to gut check time. The veterans take over, and that's just experience. It's experience. It's all it is, and you can't teach it.
No,
it just comes naturally. It comes
with time,
with experience, and it comes with time and reps, and they'll get there. Dogs will get there, and they'll take a lot from this game. And for this season, they overachieved. They were great this year. They were defensively. They went from one of the worst defensive teams in the league to one of the best defensive teams in the league, and you build premierships off defense. We've said this for years. The top 5 teams are always the teams the top 5 defensive teams are always the teams that win the competition.
Yeah.
Right. And if you can build that culture, which defense is effort and culture, you can build that, keep that going for year on year, then you're going to be playing a lot of finals football and going to be building up and going further and further every year. So yeah, huge season for the Dogs. They're only going to get better. There's some bit of off-field controversy going on with them at the moment with Addo Carr, who obviously tested positive. That second test came back positive. We'll see what happens with him. But if he does have his contract torn up,
it's salary cap
that they can go out and replace with. They've got young guys coming through. They're fine. This team is going to be playing finals football for the next 5-6 years.
Yeah, and Tupanua to come as well.
A lot of Tupanua. Yeah, well, Tupanua has been great for us.
Yeah.
Since signing with the Dogs, pretty much has been exceptional. But they're a good team.
Yeah. The other team that lost on the weekend was Newcastle. Played that game against the Cowboys in Townsville. My problem with Newcastle is probably that they left their run too late. It took the whole year, and I still don't know if they ever actually settled on a halves combination. They managed to get there, but it took them forever to get the show on the road. I mean, even 2 weeks before the finals, they were 12th or something, came out of nowhere with their run. But Adam O'Brien, I think he's made 4 finals in 5 years now, so it's a pretty good rap. But they've got one of the best players in the competition there.
Arguably the best player in the competition at the moment.
And
when
does the conversation happen about capitalising on that? Like the last time they had the best player in the competition there. There's talk of a clean out at Newcastle. Some players being tapped on the shoulder. Adam O'Brien was under pressure mid-year. And I think that if I'm a Newcastle fan, the thing I'm thinking is, how do we get better than week 1 or week 2 of the finals? They did well last year in that first week. They had that emotional win over Canberra. And they got pumped against the Warriors in New Zealand. And I think it's got to be like making week 1 needs to probably be a bare minimum for Newcastle next year if they're going to be realistic and they want to capitalise on all this time they've spent in the top 8 in the last 5 years.
Well, and this is the thing, right? You've got this player who, Kalen Ponga, was exceptional on the week. He was so good. He was probably one of the best players on the field through all 4 games, if not the best, right? There's a guy playing for Panther who wears number 7 who may have taken that claim. But
he did okay.
Ponga, he did everything, including that they almost won that game.
Yeah.
At the very end, he made that line break. That pass was very catchable by Gagai. And I know Ponga's taken the blame for it. Gagai should have taken that and run away with it. Right? He was everywhere. He did everything for that team. And they regressed this year. They finished 5th last year and made it to the second round of the finals. This year, they finished 8th and they lost in the first round of the finals.
Yeah, and
they're taking steps backwards, not forwards, and that's the problem.
Yeah, and the thing is, I'm just having a look. They were in the top 8 for 3 of 27 rounds this year. 3 of 27. And congrats to them. They made the finals, but
it's also the amount of games that a halves pairing played together as well.
That's
the problem.
That's it.
What's the direction of this team? And does someone like Kalen Ponga have faith in it going forward? All right, that's the big question. And the rumors have already started. I'm not going to go into them, but the rumors have already started about his unhappiness. And there is a ticking time bomb. It's with the coach, it's with the star player, and they need to start getting results.
Yeah.
More than just making the top 8. That's not good enough for a team like this.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. I'm with you. It's and for so long as he's in that team and he's in this period of his career, and he's on the field, that they're going to be competitive. And I think, but they have to be looking at pushing a prelim or pushing a grand final, and just really making it like this is the team. This is the man. You build your club around him. But unfortunately, they're kind of in the same predicament that my football team is in, where they're spending a lot of money on one player, and so they really need to ensure that everyone around that player. That firstly, they need to make sure that player is on the field, and the second thing is that everyone around that player does a job that makes their star player better. And I think that's the thing for Newcastle.
I agree. And yeah, it starts with finding suitable halves combinations and halves combinations you can stick with and not have a question about every weekend. That's been the big thing. Now, yes, they're losing Sofidi.
Yeah.
Who's a bit of a loss. I think that there's been a couple other players that have been tapped on the shoulder, said they can go. They haven't really replaced anyone with those players. Like, you haven't replaced these players with anyone, though. So what's their recruitment going to be like come November 1st? That's the big question for me, is who are they taking away? Who are they taking from other clubs to improve this roster? Do they have guys coming through? I haven't really heard too much. The one guy I did hear is off of the Raiders, which is Mayer, who was their lock forward. So there's rumours Adam Elliott's been tapped on the shoulder. Like that, I don't know what this team's direction is.
Frizzell.
Bulldog.
I think I heard Frizzell as well.
Frizzell as well, yeah. Bulldogs, like arrow pointing up. Knights, it's like a teetering arrow. I don't know.
Yeah.
They could be great if Caleb Ponga plays 25 games next year.
Well, that's it. And like for so long as he's in that team, they're not coming bottom 4. They shouldn't be coming bottom 4.
No. Yeah, if he's in that team and healthy. Yeah, I agree. Look, great effort to make the finals.
Yeah.
Everyone wants to do it. It's a good thing. But in terms of like how they would have pictured this season going, I think they regressed slightly.
No, it's can't argue with that. Okay, Mike, 2 games this week.
Yep.
Both at Allianz.
Yep.
So Friday night is the Sharks and the Cowboys. Now these two always seem to meet in finals. Long
rivalry.
In finals. Just very odd.
Finals, and even like you've got the 7 tackle, the 7 tackle try that was scored. Yeah. These teams back and Val Holmes, like these teams
Jonathan
have just.
Thurston was convinced that was like a conspiracy theory for Sydney clubs against the North Queensland Cowboys for a very long time.
Yeah.
So just to go quickly through changes. So Ramian is listed among the reserves as he looks to return from an ankle injury that ruled him out of the game against the Storm. He'll be given until later this week to prove his fitness. But for the moment, the Sharks go with the same 17, and Braden Hamlin-Uele is listed as the 18th man. For the Cows, Todd Payton stuck with the same 17 that beat Newcastle. Purdue is listed as 18th man after McHaley filled that role in week 1. Townsend, Burns and Chester are part of the extended squad. Interesting game here.
I have a question for you before we get into the analysis of this game. Where should it be played?
Here. Why shouldn't it be played here?
As in Allianz?
Yeah. Why not?
I completely agree. I think that Sharks, first of all, they've played 2 round 1 finals at Shark Park over the last 2 years and lost both of them. So it's not that big a home field advantage for them.
No.
Right? They haven't played in many big stadiums all year.
No.
Right? They don't play in front of big crowds. They play in front of that small crowd every year. Right? They need the big crowd feel.
Yeah.
Right? They haven't played at the SFS since 2022
so
against South Sydney. That is wild.
And that was big game pressure almost.
Yeah.
Because Souths were no right to win that game, and Cronulla dropped out in straight sets. I don't know why this is a conversation. We have to be a grown-up game.
I agree. I completely agree.
We have a world-class stadium there, and we should be playing more games out of that world-class stadium. We should be playing more games out of Parramatta, and we should be playing more games out of Homebush. Build it and they will come, right? Look at the Bulldogs. Look what happened
Feel
on
the
the
dreams,
weekend.
baby.
Yeah, literally. I can't even believe this is a conversation. And in my opinion, week one final should be played at these big venues too.
I agree. Yes, bottom line, NRL makes a lot more money.
Yeah.
Out of a 30,000 seat stadium than a 12,000 seat stadium.
Yeah.
Right. Good. The product on television is also better.
Yeah.
The camera angles that you can get from playing at these big stadiums when you're trying to project the best part of our game to the world.
Yeah. And
you get that at these stadiums. You don't get that at a suburban ground that has construction in the background for the last 4 years.
Yeah. And there's 44,000 people going to the Swans next door on Friday night.
Yeah.
Right? And we're telling me that this is the rugby league city and we're going to play at a 12,000 seat suburban ground.
Yeah.
Forget it.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. The fact that there wasn't a game at the SFS last year in the finals, it's just a waste.
Yeah.
It's a waste. $800 million wasted.
I'm with you.
All right, let's get into the game.
Mm-hmm.
No changes in the halves for Cronulla.
Yeah.
A lot of it was spoken about during the week.
Yeah.
During these first 2 days of this week, whether Nico, who was pretty bad on the weekend, he didn't have a good game. Whether he was going to keep his spot, he was never going to lose his spot. But I've said on this podcast multiple times, him and Trindle do not work.
Mm.
Trindle was the dominant half in that game. That's not how Cronulla win games. It's Nico who has to be the guy. And they haven't pulled the trigger on moving Atkinson to 6. At least that's what the team sheet says. They've kept Atkinson at 14. All right? They need to pull that trigger. They need to, because I don't see them winning when they play this way.
What would you do, Mike? Honestly, what would you do?
What would I do?
Yeah.
I would move Nico to fullback because I don't think William Kennedy is that good.
You'd move Nico to fullback.
I'd move Nico to fullback and I play Atkinson and Trindle on the halves.
And you do this
now
in a sudden death game.
Yep.
I don't know if I would.
You just got blown off the park against Melbourne, and it was convincing. And
who was the halves partnership that beat Melbourne in May? At that ground,
it was Atkinson and Blake Braley and Cameron McInnes. It wasn't Trindle or Hines. It was Atkinson.
Atkinson and Braley. Yeah. Right. I don't know. I don't think now is the time to do it. I think
I said it 3 weeks ago.
No, I know. But... Well, he didn't do it 3 weeks ago, so he's not going to do it now. No. But I think if it doesn't work this week, then that's 3 years in a row.
Straight sets.
Bad.
Bad.
It becomes a thing.
Yeah.
It becomes a thing, and all that effort. And Melbourne can do this. Melbourne have blown teams off the park in week 1 of the finals, but I think they've worked too hard all year not to win this weekend. I think the Cowboys have some very good players. I think Dearden and Drinkwater are very creative in attack and can do a lot. They've got a lot of experience. They've got Holmes. They've got Felt, Tamalolo. And I think that, with that experience to help them. But I really think that if we're drilling it down, Cronulla can do this. I actually have, I think I'm actually not even considering a loss for them. I just think they have to do this. It has to come. Surely not 6 finals losses in a row for Craig Fitzgibbon. How can that be?
5.
5?
Yeah, 5.
Oh, last year they lost
year was
week
first
1.
one.
Yeah. Well, how can that be?
Look, I actually think it will be. I think this Cowboys team has the ability to beat the Sharks. I think this Cowboys team is very dangerous.
Do you think they could beat Penrith?
No. No one's. This is a 2-horse race. No one's touching Penrith. No one's touching Melbourne. Both those teams came out and just stamped their foot.
You don't think that the Roosters in that second half, and I know Panthers taking their foot off the pedal, you don't think the Roosters showed a little bit of how to get around Penrith?
I think that the Roosters, their performance has been like how bad their performance was has been over exaggerated a lot. Actually, quite good.
Mm-hmm.
They came up. Let's leave it for now.
Yeah.
We'll talk about it in the next game.
Yeah.
But
you don't. But do you, like I think that I actually Cowboys have the cavalry, but I can't see Cronulla not winning this game because I just can't fathom that with the experience they've got in their team and the way they've been for 3 years, I can't comprehend the idea that somehow they're going to drop out and have lost 5 finals in a row. I don't know why. It's such a I just feel like they have to win. They have to.
Their fans are saying the same thing. I just think that this team has not shown me, and this weekend was none, that when they've got a combination of Hines and Trindle in the halves, they can handle the pressure of finals football.
So do you think there's a possibility that
Atkinson comes in on game day? 100%. And if they're not thinking about that, then their question's going to be about... If they lose this game, there's going to be questions about the coach.
Really?
Right? Straight away, 100%. You can't go out and lose 5 finals games in a row. If you can't take them to that next level, and this is the level that you've been stuck at for 3 years, then you're not the right guy for it, unfortunately. And you're not the right guy to get this performance out of them. And I love Fitzy.
Cowboys and Cronulla played in July, round 21. Cowboys won 30 points to 22.
Yeah.
In Townsville, the halves were Trindle and Atkinson, and Townsend and Dearden.
Yeah. Townsend's obviously dropped, but yeah, I like Dearden for me has been...
He's been awesome. He's been
Post-Origin.
Good all year. Post-Origin's been so good.
Yeah. Cotter has been fantastic for them since he's come back from that concussion. Hill Lukey has been awesome. He's finding his feet after just a horror run of injuries. Right? They've got 2 edge back rowers who are going to trouble Cronulla.
Yeah.
They've got a back line who can trouble Cronulla. They've got an insanely creative fullback. Something that Cronulla do not have. It's why I think that they need to... It's why I suggested Nico at fullback. I just don't think Will Kennedy offers enough. That kickoff, for example. The first kickoff of the game, it goes out off him because he got that wrong.
I just don't understand how you can make a change like that with, like...
It should have been diagnosed...
The season on the line.
It should have been diagnosed 2 months ago, but they didn't. They're so... I don't understand why they've been so loyal to Trindle. Hines is clearly your marquee player. He's the one you're paying the big bucks to. You can't drop him. Right? That just sends a message that it's going to...
So moving him to fullback, is that better?
I think it is.
All right.
Yeah. I just don't think Will Kennedy offers enough.
Yeah.
I think that's been their weak spot for a long time.
Yeah. For anyone playing at home, Michael's tipping the Cowboys and I'm tipping Cronulla.
Yeah.
And Cronulla's going to win after Craig Fitzgibbon listens to this podcast and changes the lineup to Mike. What Mike suggests.
Fitzy, if you're listening, you're my favourite rooster of all time.
Is he a
all the respect in the
junior?
world. No, he's not.
Debuted with
Dragons.
That's right.
99. Doesn't matter.
He's a true rooster then.
Clive Churchill medalist.
Yeah.
Wally Lewis medalist. Just a legend of the game. Should be a Hall of Famer. Yeah.
All right, on to Michael's Chookie. So Roosters Manly, always love this matchup. Always good to watch this.
They actually haven't played that many finals games.
No, I think it's 8 or something.
Well, yeah, 8, and then since the merger, it's only been 3.
Yeah.
It was 2 in 2013 and 1 in 2021.
Yeah. These two teams, of course, played in 72 grand final and 2013 grand final.
Yeah.
Okay. Jared's back, Mike.
Yep.
Victor Radley is part of an extended squad and could make a return from a fractured scapula.
Yeah, a lot of needles in that one.
Yeah, Nat Butcher goes to the bench where he is joined by Sua Wong, Spencer Leniu and Terrell May, while Zach Docker-Clay's 18th man. But Manly, winning form is good form, so Manly roll out the same 17 that beat the Bulldogs. Saab remains sidelined after missing the last 2 games with an ankle injury. Tommy Turbo will be better for the run after returning from a shoulder injury he was battling. And Sipley and Waddell listed among the reserves with Clayton Fa'alalo as 18th man. The referee for this one is Grant Atkins.
Okay.
And
who's in the bunker?
In the bunker is Chris Butler. And the game before, Ashley Klein, and in the bunker is Wyatt Raymond.
How is Chris Butler one of our top 4 refs? We didn't do this last week. Adam G is I can't understand it. That Annesley will have his job gone by the end of this year. He will not be. Annesley and Maxwell will both be fired by the end of this year. Is a prediction of mine.
Who's replacing?
I don't know. There's going to be a commission.
Yeah.
There's going to be a big summit, as Gus likes to say. Big summit. All the top coaches, top players, heads of the game, and there's going to be a lot of talking about refereeing this off-season because the product has not been great.
All right, enough about the
refs.
Okay.
I have another bone to pick with the media.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone who suggests that Joey Manu should play 6 for the Roosters has not watched a single minute of Joey Manu playing 6 for the Roosters. My God,
maybe they just want to see it.
It has not worked every single time he's done it. He can't pass the ball. You need your halves pass.
So when he played 6, did Kiri play 7?
Yes.
Yeah. Right.
It's not Kiri's fault. Kiri wasn't great on the weekend, but it wasn't like the ball. Every time he touched the ball, he would step back off his right foot. I remember watching and being like, pass the goddamn ball. It does not work. Fullback is different to 5'8". Just because you can play fullback doesn't mean you can play 5'8". Sandon Smith is the option. Did he get given a bit of a bath on the weekend? Absolutely. Penrith would have given every single other team a bath on the weekend. That first half from them was the most clinical, physical, perfect half of football that I think I've ever seen from any team.
Yeah. They could have beaten anyone.
They would have beaten anyone.
Yeah.
That was a masterclass. What Nathan Cleary did with the boot was exceptional. After not playing for 4 weeks, coming off the shoulder, he didn't miss a step. From running that first set of 6, instead of taking a kick on the last tackle, running, just to scare the Roosters.
They look like a team possessed, really. Like they came out with a real point to prove that this is our premiership to defend. And for all the talk about the Roosters and, breaking a hoodoo and all that, they just really, I think, silenced multiple critics, including here, who just like maybe they can't go to that next level, maybe they can't do it again. And we keep saying it's got to end at some point. But much like Melbourne making the top 8, maybe this doesn't have an ending. Maybe we're about to watch 4 out of 11 in a row or something. Probably not. But for so long as Nathan Cleary is steering that ship, they're going to be in the conversation. So
that's the thing. He's that good.
Yeah. So I thought the Roosters were good in the second half. I thought Angus Crichton had a really disappointing game for you guys.
I didn't think Crichton was great. A lot of
Hail Mary flick passes out the back that were unnecessary. I didn't really like Robbo's bench rotations. I thought they were really stupid. Lacked a bit of... I would have just got Lenu in there early.
It took too long to get Lenu in because we're getting out physical.
Yeah.
We needed someone to help change that.
And like the thing with Penrith is you really need to start well and just try and... the thing with them is like once momentum is swung, it's so hard to pull it back from them because Cleary just completely manipulates the game with his boot and they have it on a string. And Mike, as I've been saying to you for so long, this premiership will be won because of Jerome Luai, and I think you could see aspects of that on Friday night.
He was great.
He was unreal.
He was great. There's moments like every single tackle that they made, they bent us backwards.
Yeah.
Whereas every single hit up that they made, they went forward. And a lot of that has to do with their 2 props, who might go down as the greatest forward prop combination of all time.
Yeah.
Fisher Harris and Leota are just and it hasn't been forgotten to me that when they went off, we scored. And when they came back on, we didn't score.
Yeah.
They won 26-0 when those 2 were on the field.
Yeah.
They have been, and they did this to Parramatta in the 21 grand final. They did this... 22 grand final. They did this last year as well. When Leota and Fisher Harris came back on, that's when their run started.
Yeah.
Right? This team, these props, there's one player I want to highlight.
We are previewing the Roosters Manly game.
But I want to talk.
Yeah.
We need to talk about men. We need to talk about how good Penrith.
Yeah,
were,
yeah, okay.
Right, and we'll talk about how good Storm were.
Mm-hmm.
Right. There's one player I want to talk about. Connor Watson charged the ball down.
That
on about the 40-metre line.
Yeah.
Right. He recovers the ball, gets chased down by Nathan Cleary, and the whole Penrith backline, the whole Penrith side, was set and ready, and Connor Watson had to wait to play the ball because there was no one there. That's the intensity that Penrith play with when it comes to final football. They are so much fitter, faster, and stronger than every other team, and I can't say it. Melbourne's not going to beat this team. I thought the Roosters played well in the second half.
Yep. Yeah. To be honest, I did too. I think they showed... the other thing I thought, and I know you disagree with this, I thought Teddy was overplaying his hand, possibly because Sam Walker wasn't there and that was part of the game plan. But because the Roosters were playing kind of catch up, I just thought it looked like it was a bit sort of grab the ball and run and see what happens. But as I said, I thought Kryson was probably disappointing. And Daniel Tupou, who is never disappointing.
Well, this is the thing. The moment it happened, I messaged you.
You knew.
And it was, he dropped the first bomb. And I was like, oh no, that's it. That's game. He dropped another one. And I was like, sure, this is bad. And then he also dropped, and no one's really spoken about this. Right on halftime.
Yeah.
We should have scored.
Yep.
He dropped that ball. He was clean above everyone else. He dropped that ball. He was in the in goal. He would have come down with the ball and scored. We would have gone into halftime 22-6.
Yeah.
Now, forward pass. Doesn't change this. It'll change the scoreline, doesn't change the game. Anyone who thinks that the Roosters would have won that game because of that forward pass not being called,
I thought Sundays was more forward, to be honest.
Yeah, well, and the other thing is, Huey should have been sin binned.
Yes, of course he should have been sin binned. What was that?
I don't understand.
I don't understand how it's not a Anyway.
Whatever. So, calls went both ways, right? And if Cleary's in the bin, right, they're scoring another 3 tries. So, yeah, just... Any fan who thinks that was the issue, all right, let's get into...
So this game unfolds in 2 ways, okay? The Roosters forwards completely dominate, or it's played in the back lines. And I think that Manly's speed and skill get the better of your back line. And you have an amazing back line. No criticism, genuinely, but I think if it's played in the backs, Cherry Evans is the difference. Yeah.
So these two teams played not long ago, around 22.
Yep.
And Roosters came out and were up 24-0 in the first 20 minutes.
Yeah. Put the cue in the rack.
And then threw 3 intercepts in the last 15 minutes. And the score ended up being 34-30.
Yeah.
3 intercept runaway tries by Manly.
Yeah.
But the Roosters forward pack just punched them in the face and out-physicaled them completely, which is what I'm hoping will happen. Jared's back. Big inclusion. Probably the person I think we missed the most against Penrith, just because of that physicality and start of the game.
Yeah.
Right? The changes that I think the Roosters have made are great. You actually asked me what changes did the Roosters need to make after the game. I said Nat Butcher should be dropped, but it'll probably be Sia Wong.
Yeah.
All right? It's actually... Zach Docker-Clay's been dropped. He didn't play on the weekend, so Watson will play the 80. Sia Wong's gone to the bench. Nat Butcher's gone to the bench. Nafahu White, who was excellent for the Roosters, comes into the 13th spot. That just means that our pack is big. Manly's got a big pack as well, so we've matched that size, which I think will really help. Backline, I thought Sully was good against the Panthers as well. I think he's been quite good the last few weeks.
Yeah.
The person who's been really disappointing, I think he's been Joseph Manu. I think he's been bad the last few weeks, and we need a big game out of him.
Yeah. What was the point of not playing Zach Docker-Clay? He didn't play.
I don't know. I genuinely don't know. Watson made 69 tackles.
Yeah. It was bizarre. It was really just odd coaching.
Yeah.
But yeah, okay, so Michael, you're tipping Roosters?
I am. I genuinely do think we can win this game. Last week I tipped Penrith because I didn't think we could win. This week I generally think we can win. I think we're a better team than Manly, even with Sam Walker out, even with Brandon Smith out.
Yeah, it's 3rd versus 7th.
Yeah.
You know, but
Cherry Evans is, if they're going to win, it's going to be on the back of Cherry Evans and his kicking game. Because that's one thing the Roosters have struggled with for the last few years, is we haven't got that dominant boot.
Yeah. You guys have played twice this year?
Yeah, we versed
One
each other
apiece.
round 2 after.
Yeah, Manly won
Vegas.
that one, 21-14.
Yeah.
I think Manly win this one by 4.
Okay. High scoring or low scoring?
High scoring.
Okay.
32-28.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like it. Well, I don't like it. I think we win, but I like the premise. Talk about Melbourne quickly.
Yeah.
Because they were phenomenal.
Yeah.
Um,
So they play next Friday night against the winner of the Manly Roosters game. Michael's up in arms about the 6-day turnaround.
well, for Manly, if they win, they're going to go 6-day turnaround, compared to a team like Penrith, who have had 2 weeks off, or like a Cowboys, who are going to go for 7 days off, 7 days off. Is that right? No, Sharks, 7 days.
Cowboys 6 days. Saturday to Friday night for this game.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. It is what it is, right?
Yeah.
Like, no one's doing a 5-day turnaround.
They don't want to compete. They don't want to compete with the AFL Grand Final. I get that. In Melbourne, it's tough.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean,
So that's why
the
they've
thing
done
is,
it.
the Roosters come into this game with the luxury of an 8-day turnaround.
Yes.
That's
why I thought,
Manly,
yeah.
like, this is the thing. Like, you're coming from 7th. Like, you kind of cop it. And the Roosters got the luxury of an extra day. They finished in the top 4 and they get rewarded for that. Like, it is what it is to an extent. Cronulla have the same turnaround as the Cowboys. And they, but it's 4th and 5th. So it's much of a muchness. Really, the aim is to finish in the top 4, win that first game, and just set yourself up and watch everyone else bash each other.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, I think this game, it should get a really good crowd, probably better than the night before. It's 2 great clubs, produce good quality football. There's a lot of strike players on both sides. There's internationals, there's origin players. It's got a bit of everything. And it'll be interesting to see how it goes.
Yeah, I agree. Back onto Melbourne. Thought they were fantastic.
Yeah.
Harry Grant, 3 tries. Great work.
Yep.
Will Warbrick's been really good for them.
Yeah, brilliant.
Since the end of the Origin period. I know he didn't play, but like, it feels like he's had a bit of a change. Nick Meaney's defence has improved a ton.
Yeah.
Jack Howarth has been awesome on that left centre spot. And their 2 edge-back rowers, Eli Katoa will probably win will win one of the 2 second row of the year spots.
Yep.
With Angus Crichton. He's been phenomenal for them this year. And yeah, Jerome
Probably
Hughes.
need to do that next week.
We do need to do that next week. Jerome Hughes didn't need to do too much this game.
No.
You know why?
Tell me.
Cameron Munster decided,
To
it's finals football. Let's play.
Yeah. Got it in him.
Got it in him. He's a dangerous player, Cameron. And just that first try out of dummy half, just the fake to Nelson, straight over, out of dummy half. Just
set the
brilliant,
tone, didn't it?
brilliant play. One thing we didn't bring up with Manly, that scrum play was
Beautiful. All their tries were like, Mike, that call a try.
It's speed and footwork.
Yeah, speed and footwork and
the
running
finish
it
without your boot as well.
Why don't more teams throw it inside their own end of the field? Discuss.
Because if you drop it, then you're turning the ball
risk
over.
It.
And when you're down, you can risk it because you're already behind.
Spend the whole summer catching the effing ball and throw the ball around. South's had so much luck with this in 2020 and 2021. I don't understand.
Yeah.
No one is expecting it. Penrith did it the other night against the Roosters too.
Yeah.
The Roosters would drop back and Penrith would just throw it and make some meters. Just honestly, this game has the potential to be so spectacular, and every team wants to play the same freaking style.
It's all structure. Sorry,
guys.
Apparently, if you lost a boot back in the 80s, the play would restart.
Is that right?
Yeah.
There you go.
Matthew Johns told us that one, who was proved once again that he's by far the best colour commentator in the NRL when he commentated the game the other night. He's brilliant. So we're both tipped different teams for both games.
Yeah. But I just can't see how Cronulla can lose again. Like, they can't. Honestly. And
you're getting fired up this game.
Oh, I know. I don't know why. It's just, honestly. Yeah. No, I got fired up because I read an article. Sorry, I have to talk about Souths. I read an article that Wayne Bennett went to Souths and told everyone, they had a really bad year. And it's like, okay, do you need to pay a 75-year-old $1 million a year to tell you your shit? Like we have been. I could have done it for free. Anyway.
Should have just listened to this podcast.
Yeah.
At least Blake Solly's got a new job lined up.
Yeah, so the Dragons have parted ways with their CEO, which is interesting. Not sure what that one's about.
Yeah.
All right, so Michael's gone with the Cowboys and the Roosters. I've gone with the Sharks and Manly. Always a good game this week, I think.
Yeah, no, it's good. Elimination finals, always like the finals football. Even like we mentioned the refereeing before, but like the amount of set restarts, the amount of penalties, the amount of times they went up to the video refs, everything dropped.
Yeah, I just don't
Which
know
is
why they
like
can't just
there hasn't been the players haven't improved. From one week to the other that drastically. It's just the referees being like, oh, it's finals football.
Yeah.
Let's actually put our whistles away.
There was a period in that Roosters game, what was it, with 8 minutes without a stoppage or something ridiculous.
Yeah.
And it's like, I just let the boys play.
Yeah.
Like no one wants to go there to watch the refereeing masterclass.
Yeah. I was watching the NFL on Monday morning and there was 21 penalties. A 3-hour game took 4.5 hours. It's like no one wants that.
No.
Yeah. All right. We'll leave it there. I think so. Next week we have to do Dally M teams.
Yeah, we do. That'll be interesting. Okay, and then just as an update on tipping, so a few people got 4.
Yours included.
Me and you included.
Yeah.
Tony Hetro is still 4 points clear of Clive, who is 2 points clear of Camilla, who is 1 point clear of me. That's the top 4. So Tony Hetro is close to wrapping it up. If
well, there's only 5 games left, so we just have to get 1.
Yeah. So it'll all depend on this week.
Yeah.
Alrighty. So that means we've got to have him on the podcast.
Yeah.
All right.
Fantastic.
Good luck.
Thank you. I'm gonna need it.
I'll see you at Mad Monday.
Wow. Glowing endorsement. As always, how good
I thought you had a chance last week and you disappointed me.
I did not think we had a chance.
I told you.
I was on a different trend to you were. All right. How good is rugby league, Emmanuel?
See you, Mike.
Yeah.